Good afternoon, learners. My name is Mr. Ocheng Anthony, and today I'm going to take you through Integrated Science Grade 7. We are going to handle the third strand, that is, living things and their environment, and the specific substrand that we are going to discuss today is excretion in humans. Welcome. In our introduction, we define the term integrated science as a broad learning area that normally involves the study of various branches of science together. Those branches of science that we study together in integrated science normally includes number 1 biology, number 2 physics, and number 3 chemistry. Biology is defined as a branch of science that deals with the study of living things. A living thing is anything that has life, like a plant or an animal. Grade 7 learners, I want you to understand that these organisms that you are calling living organisms, they normally have certain characteristics in common. A characteristic is a distinguishable feature that an organism has. So the characteristics that will be shared by all living organisms normally include number 1, reproduction, number 2, nutrition, number 3, irritability, number 4, gaseous exchange, number 5, growth and development. Number 6, movement and locomotion. Number 7, respiration. And finally, number 8, excretion. So in our today's lesson, the characteristic of a living organism that you are going to discuss in detail is this characteristic that we are calling excretion. Before we proceed, it is important for us to understand the meaning of this term excretion, and excretion is normally defined as the process by which living organisms get rid of waste products of cellular metabolism from their bodies. At the same time, we can define the term excretion as the process by which living organisms normally separate and eliminate the waste products of cellular metabolism from their bodies. Learners, I want you to understand that this process that you are calling excretion is very important in the bodies of living organisms because it normally prevents accumulation of this waste from within their bodies, because the accumulation of this waste may lead to poisoning of the cell, and the poisoning of the cell may lead to death of an organism. Now, I want us to discuss how this process of excretion normally takes place in the bodies of humans. Before we start, I want you to know that humans normally have a very complex body, and because of the complexity of the body, they normally require a well-developed excretory organs. The 4 main organs that are normally used in humans for excretion purposes normally include number 1, skin, number 2, lungs, number 3, liver, and number 4, kidney. In our today's lesson, we are only going to handle one of those 4 organs that is very important in the bodies of humans, that is normally used in this process that we are calling excretion, and that organ is the organ that we are calling the skin. Again, grade 7 learners, I want you to know that humans normally have so many organs, and out of the many organs that they normally have, the largest organ of them all is this organ that we are calling skin. Skin is normally used for excretion purposes, and the main waste products that are normally removed from the body through the skin normally includes number 1, urea, number 2, excess water, number 3, excess mineral salts. Apart from excretion, grade 7 learners, I want you to note that the skin has other functions. Function number 1, the skin will help you in protection. Number 1, it will help you to protect yourself from mechanical and physical injuries. Number 2, it will help to protect yourself from entry of microorganisms. Number 3, it will help you to protect yourself from damage from the ultraviolet rays from the sun, and this function is normally carried out by a pigment we call melanin. Apart from protection, the skin has another function, and that function is the function of regulation of the body temperature. Apart from regulation of body temperature, the skin also helps in excretion of body waste, and the 3 main waste that will be excreted by the skin is number 1, excess water, number 2, excess mineral salts, and number 3, some traces of urea. Apart from the function of excretion, the skin also plays a very important role as far as formation of vitamin D is concerned, and this function is normally carried out by special cells that are located in the skin in the presence of sunlight. Another function of the skin is the function of storage of fat, and this one is normally done by a part of the skin that we call the adipose tissue. Apart from storage of fat, the skin also helps to prevent loss of water from our body, and at the same time it helps us to sense some materials or some changes in the environment, like the changes in heat, the changes in cold, and also pain. Learners, in order for us to understand how the skin will carry out this function of excretion, it is important for us to understand how the structure of the skin looks like. We have a table with us here, and this table is illustrating the structure of the skin. And I want you to note that the skin normally has been divided into three main layers. We have this uppermost layer that we are calling epidermis. Epidermis is closely followed by another layer that we are calling dermis. Then after the dermis, the innermost layer of the skin is this layer that we are calling hypodermis, and that hypodermis we also call it subcutaneous layer. I will begin with the uppermost layer that we are calling the epidermis, and the epidermis is normally divided into three layers. We have the outermost layer that we are calling the conified layer. The conified layer is this layer here that I have painted red. Then the conified layer will be followed by another layer that you are calling granular layer. And finally, granular layer will be followed by a layer that we are calling Malpighian layer. After the epidermis, we move to dermis. And dermis have a number of structures. I'll begin with the most important structure. In the innermost part of the dermis, we have this structure that we are calling root of hair. You can see it, I have painted it red. Then root of hair is followed by another part that you are calling the hair follicle. This is the middle of that thing that you are calling hair or the root of hair. Then at the topmost part of it, we have this part that you are calling hair shaft. I have painted it red again. Apart from the hair follicle and hair shaft, there is this yellowish structure that appears at the side of the hair, and that thing we normally call it the sebaceous gland. Apart from the sebaceous gland, there is this other part here that we are calling the erector pili muscle, and that muscle is very important. We are going to discuss its its function later. Apart from the erector pili muscle, there is another part that we are calling the sweat gland, and the sweat gland are these things that have coiled down here. Then at the end of the sweat gland, just on the surface of the skin, we have a small hole. That small hole, we normally call it sweat pore. Then below the sweat gland, we normally have these things here that looks like veins. Those small things that appear to resemble veins, we normally call them the nerve endings. Then below the nerve endings, we have the blood vessels. The third layer of the skin is the layer that we are calling the hypodermis, and the hypodermis have these yellowish structures. Those yellowish structures are what we are calling the adipose tissue or the fat tissue. Now, we have seen the structure of the skin. Now, I want us to discuss the parts of those skin and the functions that each one of them will be carrying out. And I want you to note that normally the skin is composed of three layers. We have the outermost layer that you are calling epidermis. We have the middle layer that you are calling dermis. Then we have the innermost layer that you are calling hypodermis or subcutaneous layer. I will begin with the outermost layer, that is epidermis. And the main thing that I want you to understand as far as epidermis is concerned is the functions of the epidermis. The epidermis has a number of functions, but I'm only going to mention three. The first function is the function of protection, and it will protect you from mechanical damage or injuries, and at the same time epidermis will protect you from the disease causing microorganisms that we are calling pathogens. Function number two of the epidermis is the function of formation of new skin, and normally the new skin is normally formed by a part of the epidermis that we are calling the malpighian layer. Function number three of the epidermis is the function of giving the skin its color, and that function will be carried out by the part of the epidermis that we are calling the malpighian layer. In summary, grade 7 learners, I want you to know that these functions that we have mentioned here in epidermis are just a summary of the functions that will be carried out by specific structures that are located within the epidermis. Now, this layer that you're calling epidermis, grade 7 learners, I want you to note that it has been divided into three layers. The first layer we call it conified layer, the second layer we call it granular layer, and the third layer is the layer that you're calling malpighian layer. We are going to start with the conified layer, and I want you to know that the conified layer is the outermost layer on your skin. That layer is normally composed of dead cells, and those dead cells, they are normally covered by a material that we call keratin. So what is the function of this layer that we are calling conified? The conified layer majorly will carry out the function of protection. Number one, it will protect you from physical damage. Number two, it will protect you from entry of pathogens. And number three, it will prevent your body from losing water. The second layer after the conified is the granular layer. Granular layer, I want you to note that it is normally composed of living cells, and the living cells that are located in granular layer, they normally replace the cells of the conified layer. The main function of the granular layer is normally to replace the worn out cells within the conified layer. The third layer that follows the granular layer is the layer that you are calling malpighian layer. And I want you to know that this is the innermost layer within the epidermis. This layer is normally composed of some cells that we call melanocytes. Those melanocytes normally produce a pigment that we call melanin. And that pigment is very important because it gives your skin the color. And normally, those people that have a lot of melanin, their skin normally appears darker in complexion. The function of this malpighian layer is number one, it normally gives the skin its color because of the presence of the cells that we are calling melanocytes, because those melanocytes normally produce that pigment that you are calling melanin, and it is that melanin that gives you your skin color. Apart from giving the skin color, melanin will also protect you from the harmful rays from the sun. Those harmful rays from the sun, we normally call them ultraviolet rays. With that, we are done with the first layer of the skin that you are calling epidermis. Now I want us to discuss the second layer that you are calling dermis. Dermis is found in the middle of the skin. It is the middle layer that is found on the skin. And normally, if you compare the thickness of dermis, it is normally slightly thicker than epidermis. And the functions of the dermis, number one, it normally has cells that normally help us to sense the changes from within the environment. So it will enable you to always keep in touch. Then number two, the dermis layer normally helps in making of oil. Apart from making oil, it also helps in production of sweat. And at the same time, it normally helps in supplying of blood from within the skin. Again, learners, I want you to note that dermis has a number of structures that are located within it. Some of these structures that are located within the dermis, we have the sweat glands. Number two, we have the blood vessels. Number 3, we have the lymphatic vessels. Number 4, we have the nerve endings. Number 5, we have hair and erectile muscles. And finally, number 6, we have a gland that we are calling sebaceous gland. All these parts are very important within the skin. We are going to discuss their functions, and we are going to begin with the first part that is found within the dermis, and that is the sweat gland. The sweat gland normally produces sweat, and the function of the sweat gland, number 1, is to secrete sweat. That sweat normally contains waste products such as urea, excess water, and also excess mineral salts. Function number 2, the sweat glands will help us to regulate temperature, because as you lose water that is being lost from your body through sweating, that water normally comes out with some heat, and it will help you to cool down the temperatures within your body. Part number 2 that is located within the dermis is the blood vessels. The blood vessels, these ones normally carry blood. And the function of the blood vessels is, number 1, they normally contain blood that supplies nutrients and oxygen to the skin tissues. Number 2, the blood that is found within those blood vessels normally help to remove the waste products and carbon dioxide from the skin tissues. And number 3, the blood vessels will also help to regulate the temperature through a process we call vasodilation and vasoconstriction. Vasodilation is when the diameter of the blood vessel increases in size, and vasoconstriction is when the diameter of a blood vessel reduces in size. Normally, when the temperatures are very high, the blood vessel will increase in size so that a lot of blood can be transported to the upper layer of the skin, so that a lot of heat can be lost to the environment. So that with that, the body will have lost the heat, and the blood vessel will have helped you to regulate your body temperature. Another part that is located within the dermis is this part that you are calling the lymphatic vessels. And the function of the lymphatic vessel is normally to drain away excess tissue fluids from within the skin. Still, there is a part within the dermis that you are calling the nerve endings. The function of the nerve endings is normally to detect changes that are taking place from within your environment, and this one will ensure that you get in touch with your environment. Learners, another part that is found within the dermis is the hair and the erectile muscles. The function of the hair and the erectile muscle is to carry out a function that we are calling heat preservation. And normally, when the environmental temperatures are very low, the erectile muscles normally contract. Upon contraction, they will pull the hair and cause the hair to stand erect. The erection of the hair will trap some air within it, and as we know, air is a poor conductor of heat, and that will ensure that your body preserves the heat that is within it, because none of it will be able to escape to the external environment. At the same time, when the environmental temperatures are very high, the erectile muscles normally relax. Their relaxation will cause the hair to lie flat on the skin. As the air lies flat on the skin, they will not be able to trap a lot of air within them, and because we shall not be having enough air, which is a poor conductor of heat, then a lot of heat will be able to escape from your body, and with that your body temperature will be regulated. The next part that is found within the dermis is the part that we are calling the sebaceous gland. Sebaceous gland is very important because it normally produces a fluid that we call sebum. Sebum has two functions within the body. Function number 1 is that it normally helps to make sure that the epidermis remains flexible, waterproof and supple. And function number 2, it normally has some antiseptic properties that ensures that your skin is protected against bacteria and other disease-causing microorganisms that we call pathogen. The third layer of the skin is the layer that we are calling hypodermis. The hypodermis is also called subcutaneous layer. And this is the innermost layer. Normally, it has three functions. Function number one, it has fats that normally help to cushion muscles and bones. Function number two, it has connective tissue, which normally connects the layers of the skin to the muscles and bones. And function number three, it normally helps in regulation of body temperature because the fats that are located there normally act as an insulation layer against heat loss from within our bodies. Learners, I want you to know that we normally have certain creams that are meant for lightening the skin, and they normally do so by removing the pigment that normally gives the skin its color. That pigment that you are calling melanin, once it has been removed, the function of protection against the harmful rays from the sun is normally done away with. As a consequence, a person may end up getting exposed to those harmful UV light rays from the sun, and at the end of the day, you may end up contracting certain dangerous diseases like cancer. Again, I want us to look at the effects of those cosmetics that are normally used on the skin. We understand that anything that is used in excess is normally harmful in the body. And the first effect of excessive use of cosmetics is that it normally causes headaches. Number two, it may cause hair problems such as dandruffs and loss of hair. Number three, it may result to acne. Number four, it may cause eye infections. Number five, it may lead to premature aging. Apart from premature aging, it can also cause cancer. And finally, number seven, it can lead to skin discoloration. So in order to ensure that your skin, which carries out so many functions within your body, remains healthy and intact, we have some things that you're supposed to do on it. Those things and the measures that we carry out to ensure that our skin remains healthy and functional includes the following. Number one, you must apply sunscreen on your skin on a daily basis, whether you are indoors or outdoors. Number two, you must find out healthy ways of managing stress. Number three, you must ensure that you quit smoking and using of tobacco products. Number four, when you are cleaning your body, you must ensure that you use gentle cleaners to wash both your face and your entire body. Number five, you must ensure that you get enough sleep every day. And finally, number six, make sure that you shower regularly and apply moisturizing lotion to prevent dry skin. Learners, in our today's lesson, we have learned that living organisms normally have a number of characteristics in common. One of those major characteristics that they normally have in common is the characteristic of excretion. And we have said that excretion is the process by which living organisms normally separate and eliminate waste products of metabolism from their body. And that process is very important because if those wastes are left to accumulate within the body of these living organisms, they may lead to death of the body cells, and the death of the body cells may consequently lead to the death of the organism. We have said that humans normally have complex bodies, and because of the complexity of their bodies, they normally require well-developed structures that are normally used for excretion. Four of those developed structures or organs that are normally used in excretion in human bodies include number one, kidney, number two, the skin, number three, the lungs, and finally, number four, the liver. The skin, we have learned that it is the largest organ in the body and it has so many functions. Function number one, we've said that it normally helps in synthesis or manufacturing of vitamin D in the presence of sunlight. Number 2, it carries out the function of protection. Number 3, it will help you to sense the changes that are taking place from the external environment, and at the same time it is normally used for excretion. The 3 products that we've said that are normally eliminated or excreted by the skin includes number 1, excess water, number 2, excess mineral salts, and number 3, some traces of urea. With that, learner, we've come to the end of our lesson. Thank you so much for attending to today's lesson, and may you have a blessed night. Thank you.